This conference will now be recorded.
And let's see, I'm going to put here active cameras. Yeah. So it should be, if everybody could like turn their camera off and their sound, then it'll just be me and Pam. Pam, you keep yours on. And
Okay.
all right. So Pam,
And
if you have any questions, just know you can ask it in the chat box, because I'm going to focus on Pam in this session. So I'm not really necessarily going to be answering questions. So Pam, it's so nice to meet you. You have an amazing son. Are you still there, Pam? Hello? You got some, yeah, you're there. Okay. Pam, do you hear me okay? Pam, can you say something so we can know if we hear you okay?
okay, now I can.
Perfect.
You were frozen for a little bit.
Oh, you were a little frozen too. Am I okay now? Hello? Hello? Have you?
Uh-oh.
Oh,
now I can hear you, Annette. Yeah.
All right.
So it keeps freezing up.
Okay, so are we doing pretty good now? I mean, this is just kind of one of the things that can happen when you're online. I just, and we just go with the flow. So
Right.
if we have some freezing up, I will just pause and we'll wait until we get it right and see how we go. So my first question is, I am recording this and I just want to make sure you're okay with that.
I am okay with that.
Perfect. Thank you. And mostly it is shared with people who are learning about EPT. So if that helps. Let's see. So we're going to start, and typically in an EPT session, we use magnets, but I know you don't have any magnets. So if I was going to do a series of 7 sessions with you, I might do the first and the second session without magnets with no problem. But I would ask you to buy magnets to do it remotely with your own magnets. So that's how it would go. But we're going to go ahead and start this so we can see what we need to do. So I'm starting. I need you. You don't have magnets, but I'm going to use magnets. Oh, where'd you go, Pam? Pam's outside of Dallas. I'm wondering if there's storms or something going on. Are you back, Pam? Hello? It's freezing up there. Am I freezing up too? Can you hear me, Pam? Your microphone got turned off. Hello, Pam? Wow, maybe, hello, Pam. I'm wondering, so Pam, can you turn your microphone on? Oh, I see Pam is saying she can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can.
Okay,
I don't know why it keeps getting stuck, but because before, and I was on the thing before, it never got stuck. So.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. So it keeps getting stuck, but we're gonna try. So can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, you were saying something about the magnets, which of course I don't have.
That's okay. We're gonna walk through a session without you using magnets, and I will instruct you what to do with your hands. Okay? So we're gonna start. I need you to put your hands, and what I'm doing is I'm using North Pole magnet to do congruency with the right and left hemisphere. So I need you to squeeze your head together, and as you do, breathe in. So breathe in and squeeze, and breathe out and squeeze. I mean, let go. And then breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. And then the next thing I want you to do, now I'm holding the magnets, but I want you to like go on the front of your head, like right here at the nose, and then you can take your other hand behind your head, and you're gonna lift skyward. So as we breathe in, so breathe in, Breathe out. And breathe in. Breathe out. And breathe in. Breathe out. Okay. And that's known as rapport. All right, I'm going to take my magnets out of here. And you can bring your hands down now. All right. So because you've never had an EPT session, I'm going to ask you, first I'm going to ask, do you have any chronic pain issues?
No chronic
No chronic pain.
pain.
Okay. So what we're going to do you have any kind of emotional things that you deal with that you feel could be better that come to mind? I mean, I don't need it, but if you have something in mind. Nope. Oh, your microphone isn't on. Oh, is she having trouble here? Okay, there.
Okay, I'm back again.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at what stage of healing you're in. And this is my stages of healing. And then we're gonna just move you. So people get stuck in life in different areas. And the 7 stages of healing is a way of saying, let's identify a place that could move open and not be stuck. So I'm going to muscle test. So stage of healing that Pam is in, she's in stage 4, which means she's in a stuck place. And stage 4 is kind of like people get there and they feel like this is as good as life is ever going to be, and I'll just accept it even though it's not exactly what I want, but I will just be here, but anything I do doesn't matter, I just stay right here. So that's kind of where stage 4 is. It means nothing is really moving forward very quickly, and I might like that, but I'm not even sure how that would happen, and I'm accepting that this is just the way it's going to be. So you're at stage 4. So next, I'm going to categorize in terms of how many issues we need to do to move you out of stage 4. 1, 2, so how many issues? 2 issues. So I got stage 4, 2 issues. And here's what we're going to do. Okay, so Pam, we lost her again. All right, so I'm going to keep checking on Pam, even though she's not on the screen, so that when she gets back here, because I'm expecting her to get back, just like before. So when we start to do statements, yeah, you know, I'm wondering, I wonder, Pam, can you hear me? I don't think she can hear me. I'm wondering if I need to have Pam just go out and come back in. So let's see, Pam, can you?
Now I can.
All right.
I've checked my internet connection. I'm connected.
What I'm wondering is that whenever you got in on this connection, maybe it wasn't as good of a connection. And if you just if you kind of leave the call and come back in, it might be better. Is that possible? Okay, so found 2 issues. So I'm going to go ahead as Pam kind of figures this out. I'm hoping that she can maybe, so Pam, is it possible for you to just kind of like exit the call and then come back in?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, and I'll keep testing you while you're going out and coming back in.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay.
Okay, all right, so 2 issues Pam has. The first issue is love, family, current, self. It's with herself. So, and I'm using a flow chart that looks like this. And so basically we're gonna have Pam think about herself, and then I checked places on my body. So let me show you. I'm gonna like check on my body and muscle test at the same time. Now, if Pam's with me in the room, I'm gonna muscle test on her arm and I'm gonna use her body. Oh my gosh, that's so much better.
Oh, good. Exciting.
Ah! Sometimes you just turn it off and turn it back on. All right, so the first issue, and you did it so quickly too. I would have been horrified if it was me. All right, okay, so it's starting to do a little weird, but I think it's gonna be better. So this is self. So think about self. And I go to up here and it's the lung. And so the first emotion I'm going to ask, is it grief? Is it Pam's grief? It's someone else's grief. Conception, yeah, who's a friend, family, current, original. It's her dad's grief. So we're starting with dad's grief. And we're looking for an unresolved conflict in the form of a statement. So this is Pam carries the feeling of her dad's grief in her body, and that's part of what's messing with her. I guess that's the way we could say it. It's like not helping her to be as vibrant emotionally and physically. So, oh good, you're still there. So this is dad's grief, and I want to ask, is it dad's grief? So if you had to, Pam, if you had to say, now we originally got this was herself feeling dad's grief. So she feels dad's grief or grief about herself. So if you had to say something about dad's grief, what would you say? What was your dad had grief about? Oh, she's gone. This is the part I need her. All right, Pam. So this is, I'm going to go ahead and test what's, we got, the first issue is dad's grief. It's conception to birth, birth to 5, 5 to 10, age 6. So the earliest time she felt this is at age 6. And I really need her collaboration for the reason or the meaning that her dad's grief has for her in her life. So I'm looking for her to pop back in. Look at, she's like so frozen. And we have done over 20 hours of these, and this is the first one that is like, we've had this much difficulty on. So I'm just hoping. So let's see. Dad's grief. I'm just waiting for Pam to get back on here. And I'm gonna like say, let's see, is Rob, do you know if Pam is able to get back on here? She came back in pretty fast before.
I'm checking with her now.
Okay, okay. I just want to make sure she's okay with whatever she's got to do. And you know, if you're doing a remote session, this is always a possibility. And I would say what I have learned is it doesn't happen very often where you don't have a good connection. One of the things you can do is you can go to the phone and work with the person on the phone instead of on video. That's one thing I have done in the past. The other thing that you can do is this, both of you leave the room and come back in. So that's kind of an important thing to know if you're doing remote work, that sometimes the connection can be a bit sketchy. But you know, it makes sense. This is the 21st hour we have done like this, and this is the first time we've had this issue.
Hey, this is Pam.
Close all the apps except for the GoToMeeting app on your computer.
Hello?
All right. Yes. Yes. She's back. Okay.
On the phone.
Yeah. Oh, you're on the phone.
I'm sorry.
That's
yes.
Okay. We will go ahead and you know what? That way you can say the statement. So let me ask you, Pam, hopefully this just clears it up. So my question is, at age 6, you felt your dad's grief. Do you know why? What was going on with him?
Gosh. Let's see.
Was he living? Go ahead.
No, he was. Yes, we were living in the Houston area. We had to move. He may have changed jobs. Maybe did he change jobs? Maybe he changed jobs. But we moved from one house to another.
And do you know, do you know that he felt grief when you were 6? Were you even aware of it? That he was stressed out?
Yes, he was stressed out. I do know he was stressed out.
So
Um,
you do remember him being stressed out.
yes. Oh, the other thing is that I think that was a time period when we started being involved with these two kids that we eventually adopted the girl. I think that's when it started. I'm not for sure, but I think that's when it started. I was in
So,
first grade
yep,
then.
that would age 6 would be first grade. So I feel dad's grief, and it's because, is it because, um, and how did he feel about the kids? Was
Well,
that his,
they were abused, and it was a lot going on with them and their family and everything. And I don't. I was my dad's favorite,
yeah,
and it was probably a lot of combination everything. My mom had a lot of issues, so that's the best I can come up with right now. I've been through a lot of therapy, but
yeah.
I'm still in denial about a lot of stuff. It
Okay.
comes up here
So,
and there. So
well, and we're just trying to like find out what kind of
the
meaning you
key,
gave it. Yeah.
right?
So
Yeah.
it's good that you've had a whole lot of therapy, because what we're doing is we're going in and we're actually saying, she's already looked in this file, but we want to say, can we rewrite it?
Oh,
So,
absolutely. No,
so
I'm
that it's
thrilled. I think it's awesome work. Yeah.
okay. So, at age 6, I feel dad's grief. And what we got from you is he's stressed out. There were foster kids. He's stressed out, but he's stressed out because mom makes it difficult for him, or she's difficult.
Yes.
So he feels grief, but you are the apple of his eye.
Yes.
So you're the one who makes it
Try.
okay for him.
Yes, I try to fix stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking, yeah, no, wait there. So
Yeah.
so I feel dad's stressed out. I take on dad's grief because he's stressed out. There's foster kids. His relationship with mom is just okay. Mom's difficult. Um, so there's a lot going on, and you're moving.
Yes.
So this was a pivotal time really in your life, and you're only in first
Oh,
grade.
you know what? Oh, you know what? This actually. Oh, I know what it is. This is
Yeah.
actually when one of my mom's sisters died. I just remembered. This is when my aunt, my
Okay.
mom's sister died.
That
Also,
work that works too,
yeah,
mom.
yeah.
How'd she die?
She died in childbirth.
Ah,
Yeah,
oh wow.
it's horrible.
Do you remember
Yeah,
her dying?
yeah. I do. She was my favorite aunt.
So
Yeah.
you lost your favorite aunt, and you got two new kids in the house. Were they older or younger than you?
They weren't in the house just yet, but we were flirting, or they were flirting around with trying to do that. They had them come visit a lot. They were both older than me, and the boy was very threatening, like he was weird and stuff. And that's why he didn't come to live with us eventually. They didn't come to live with us until we actually moved, the other person and stuff. So, but
So
yeah,
did
the biggest sadness is my aunt dying.
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. The baby
So
lived, but my aunt died.
what happened to the baby?
The baby lived, and so my one of my other aunts and uncle took care of the baby for a little while until my uncle, by marriage, could handle taking care of the baby because they didn't have any other kids. He didn't know how to take care of a baby.
Oh wow. So
So
another aunt watched took the baby for a while.
right, yeah.
Okay.
But she was very young. From my, looking
Was it a
back
boy or
now, she was
girl?
probably like 20 or 21. It was a
Ah,
little boy. Yeah, 20 or 21 probably.
how's that
Yeah.
baby boy doing now?
From what I know, which is sketchy, he's like in his 40s. He's fine. He grew up fine.
Okay.
He had a stable life, and then my uncle, by marriage, he eventually remarried to a wonderful person. So,
All right.
but he did not stay involved with us, which everybody was sad about that.
Okay,
But
so we started and the issue was myself, but the emotion was dad's grief. And it's
hmm
dad's grief when I'm 6 because mom's sister died. That works. But there's more. It's like, it's not for your dad. It wasn't just his sister-in-law died. It was all this other stuff too.
right,
So
yeah,
it was like, he's doing the best he can do. There's all this weight of stress coming down on him. There's a loss of a family member, and you, in the meantime, are the one who's supposed to make it okay.
wow,
Because mom can't make it okay because she just lost her sister,
right, oh yeah,
right?
right,
So you're
right.
a 6-year-old and you're the one who has to make it okay. So let's see, self. I'm gonna write here, I have to make it okay.
Right.
And if I don't make it okay, I mean, I feel like we'll lose everything.
Pretty much.
I mean, that's the 6-year-old. I'm thinking, what would a 6-year-old think? I'm going to lose everything. Like, because now we know people, now I'm 6, I know people die. So,
Right.
or my
Yes.
dad might die. If I don't
Right.
make it okay, he might die. That's
Right.
more, I have to make it okay. Or dad, when did dad die?
Uh, Not last fall, before. So a year and a half ago.
So this thing you were afraid of at age 6, that now my dad can't handle things, and maybe that means he'll die because my aunt died. I didn't even
hmm
know people young could die. So
Right.
I have to make it okay, or dad dies. You first had that. I mean, that was why you had to make it okay as a 6-year-old. And then in the last 18 months, your dad has died.
Yes.
He actually finally died, which means he lived a long, long life.
Oh, you did. Yeah.
All right. So, but it was still, even when somebody lives a long life, it's still a hard thing to lose your
Yes.
dad. So that
Yes.
may be the part of that grief, that you had to make it okay. If I don't make it okay, then somebody's going to die. And when I'm 6, it means my dad, who I can't live without because mom's out to lunch because her sister died.
Yes. But my mom was kind of out to lunch most of her life. She had
Oh,
very bad migraines, and she was kind of nutty. So
yeah. So yeah,
that's a whole
right.
nother thing we'll probably
Well,
have to
but
do in a
what that
different
means
session.
is, for a
Yes.
6-year-old, I don't want to lose the one
The
parent
one person
stable.
that is good, right?
And
Yes.
the way I think at age 6 that it happens is if I make it okay or dad dies.
Right.
So I'm thinking that your self issue now with your life is, I've spent a lifetime thinking in my mind, I've got to make it okay or my dad dies. Now my dad dies, and what does that mean for me now?
Right.
So what do I do now? I don't have to make it okay anymore. Then who am I? So that may be like something you're
Yes.
going through. So
That's probably true.
okay.
Like, no, I get what you're saying. That's a very, yeah, because
Yeah.
my
Well,
identity is different.
and to me, I feel like it's amazing. I didn't know when your dad died. I didn't realize it was as close as it is. It's still fresh.
Yeah, it
Your
is.
dad died
Not as
not
fresh
even
as I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
not even 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we went to a scene where you had your first real experience with losing somebody you really cared about, and that was your aunt.
Yeah.
And you were very dependent on dad because of mom's instability.
hmm
And now I didn't have my aunt, and now I have to make it okay for him. He's like having a hard time. I got to make it or he'll die. So there's this amped up feeling in the 6-year-old that if I don't make it okay, somebody's going to die. So I'm somehow going to be responsible. So, and what I want to say about that, this is what I love, love, love about EPT is we just like, there is a direct correlation to where we went at age 6. And you had to think about what was going on at age 6, but you did remember that there was a big tragedy at that point in time. And then you also knew, other pieces of the picture, which for a 6-year-old, the extrapolation of that is if somebody can die, I don't want my dad to die. If I see him stressed out, I feel really stressed out because my mom's too unstable to handle it. And I'm like actually now like worried because I don't know why somebody would die so early that he might die. So it would make you a very anxious person and working really hard to make things okay. But the working really hard to make things okay and being in your head a lot is because at age 6, you didn't have a way of handling your aunt's death and understanding it and knowing that your dad was going to be okay. Nobody was saying he's going to be okay. She died, but he's going to be okay.
Right.
So, all right. So I'm going to do the fixing on the body. So I need you to think about, this is age 6. My mom's sister died and I feel my dad's grief and his grief about life in general, where he's so stressed out emotionally and I'm afraid, and he depends on me as a 6-year-old to make him feel better. And I'm afraid that he could die too. And then what would happen to me? So I have to make it okay. I have to make it okay for people. I feel like you even had to make it okay for mom. So this is grief, and I'm muscle testing
forever. Yeah.
Right. And the reason you were left with that feeling at age 6 is because you didn't have anybody stepping up and saying, you don't have to make it okay. Like nobody even knew what was going through your head. They didn't know to say that, So this is, so I'm testing with the magnet because that's what I would do in person. So over the lung, the North Pole magnet makes it strong, but because you don't have a magnet, I need you to put your hand over your right lung. And then I want you to
put you on speaker.
Yeah, so just put your hand, are you okay? Are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so put your hand on your right lung, over your right lung. That's where we would put a magnet. And then you're going to put another hand over your forehead to cover basically your frontal, your supervisor of your brain. And then as you put your hand, I want you to take your fingers and your thumb around the sides of your head because I want you to think about how stressful that was at age 6 and your aunt dying. And as a 6-year-old, you didn't understand enough about death. So you were then thinking maybe I don't want to think about my dad dying. So I'll just try to make it okay all the time. And then I won't have to think about him dying. So that's kind of what you were doing. So I need you to squeeze your head together while your hand is on your forehead and then breathe in. So squeeze and breathe in. Breathe in and breathe out. And then breathe in and breathe out. And then breathe in and breathe out. Okay. Whew. Are there any other emotions on this picture at age 6? Yes. So I'm muscle testing. I want to say there was grief and it was dad's grief, but is there another emotion that got stuck in there? And it's yes. So muscle going weak is the body responding and saying, oh yeah, you're right on track. You're on target. So I'm going to say, think about that age 6. And again, I'm going to touch areas of my body, heart. So heart made it strong. Okay. So I'm going to check there and it's going to be, is it lost and vulnerable? Yes. You feel lost and vulnerable. So this is I felt dad's grief because his whole life was a mess. It was just not easy. So, and I feel lost and vulnerable. And I'm thinking I feel lost and vulnerable because there's nobody here for me. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm alone. And if I don't make it okay, no one's here for me.
Right.
Here for me. I'm writing it down. And if I don't make it okay, I don't know what's going to happen.
It's not going to be.
Yeah. I got to make it okay because if I don't, I'm left thinking about being all alone, afraid that maybe my significant parent is going to die and no one's here for me. So I'm
Right.
6 and I'm super vulnerable because if something happens to dad and mom can't handle it, what am I going to do?
Right.
All right. So, I'm going to, oh, wait, here it is. Left on vulnerable. And I'm picking up a magnet to check muscle test, red over the heart, red test, or south pole. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your hand over your heart, one hand over your heart, the other one over your forehead the same way. And we're going to think about the loss and vulnerability. You lost your favorite aunt too. You found out in a hard way that death is real and that there is an end to life, which is a really scary thing.
Right.
When there's nobody there to walk you through it. So I need you to squeeze your head. Your hand is on your heart and on your forehead, and then squeeze your head as you breathe in. Breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in. Breathe out. Ah, awesome. All right. Are there any other emotions? I muscle test again to see if there's any other emotions we need to tackle in the body before we start doing statement. And there are no other emotions on this picture. So I'm going to go to forgiveness. So is it phase 1, phase 2? Oh, good. Okay. So I ask before I do my forgiveness statements, is this a broken heart issue or is it a trauma issue? And trauma is going to either be phase 1 trauma, which is this side, right side, or phase 2 trauma. Phase 1 trauma is where you overthink to prevent something bad from happen, which I think you did a lot of as a child, and maybe even in your life, because when you have to make everything okay, you are chronically overthinking. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So you're overthinking and you're like stressing, but the reason is it's like this pattern that you set up at age 6 that if I overthink about it, then it won't fall apart. My dad won't die. Something bad won't happen. I won't lose my aunt. So that's what my brain is doing. But in this, you actually went from overthinking to just checking out. So checking out is where both sides of your brain kind of go offline and you act like a robot. So you do what you're supposed to do robotically. And that's what you'd go back and forth between overthinking to I'm exhausted, I'm just going to go through the motions. And when
Yeah.
you go, and the reason people go offline, so to speak, it would be a functional disassociation of your brain, is because it numbs everything up. I don't
Right.
feel the fear of somebody dying. I don't feel the guilt and shame that I couldn't save my aunt or that my mom
Right.
is nutty. I don't feel that I'm alone. I don't feel anything.
Right.
So that's that disassociative state. And I think that may be, you may be there right now, and you may, when your dad died, you know, you did your grieving, but you also may have like halted the grieving by checking out, you know, because it gets hard.
Right.
So it's like your own way of giving yourself a sedative is to go into functional disassociation. For people who are wondering what that's like, we all have the ability to do that. When you're driving from point A to point B and you can't remember how many Starbucks you passed or what you passed, you are
Right.
in functional disassociation, but you are totally capable of driving a car and getting where you're going, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's kind of where you're at right now. So what I want you to do is I need you to kind of tap on your head on both sides, and you don't have to tap vigorously or really heavy. All I'm doing is giving enough tap on your head to, and there's not specific points or anything. What we're doing is we're waking up your brain. We're interfering with the dissociative pattern and saying, you know, kind of saying hello, hello, because when we start rapping on your head a little bit, your brain, which is in charge of keeping you safe, is going to like look over and be like, hey, what's going on? I'm getting hit on the head, right?
Right.
So that's what we want your brain, we want to interfere with the dissociative pattern. So you just need to kind of like tap on your head in the center and on either side. And then we're going to say these statements. So I need
Okay.
you to, you're going to repeat after me. I forgive myself for believing.
Just a second. So tap while we're saying this?
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a...
No, that's okay. I just want to be sure I'm doing it right.
You're doing it. You can't fail. It's just a matter of waking up, like saying hello to your brain by some tapping.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
So
Okay.
you can't do it wrong. It's just an interference to what the brain is used to experiencing. So
Okay.
I need you to say, I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that I can't show up
that I can't show up
and pay attention
and pay attention
and tell the truth
and tell the truth
and let go
and let go
without feeling
without feeling
all the pain and stress,
all the pain and stress,
the emotional loss,
the emotional loss,
the chaos in my house,
the chaos in my house,
and the feeling of not being able to make it better,
the feeling of not being able to make it better,
not being able to make something okay,
not being able to make something okay.
and then breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that I have to make everything okay,
that I have to make everything okay
so that I don't feel
so that I don't feel
the grief,
the grief,
the loss,
the loss,
the vulnerability,
the vulnerability,
the anxiety,
the anxiety,
and the chaos
and the chaos
in my house when I was 6.
in the house when I was 6.
And then breathe. Yeah. I forgive myself
I forgive myself
for believing
for believing
that I can't show up for my life
that I can't show up for my life
without compulsively overthinking
without compulsively overthinking
to make everything okay,
to make everything okay,
and using that behavior
and using that behavior
as a distraction
as a distraction
from the losses in my life
from the losses in my life
that I couldn't do anything about,
that I couldn't do anything about,
that I had no control over.
that I had no control over.
The loss of the mom who might have been more stable.
The loss of the mom that might have been more stable.
The loss of my aunt that was my favorite person.
The loss of my aunt that was my favorite person.
The loss of my innocence.
The loss of my innocence.
That people live forever.
That people live forever.
And the loss of the family home when we moved.
The loss of the family home when we moved.
And then breathe. I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing
that that I have to chronically, compulsively make everything okay.
That I have to chronically, compulsively make everything okay.
Because doing that as a 6-year-old.
Because doing that as a 6-year-old.
And worrying about that gave me something I could do. I could control.
Gave me something that I could do and control.
Because I couldn't stop my aunt from dying.
Because I couldn't stop my aunt from dying.
And I couldn't make my mother stable.
And I could not make my mother stable.
And I couldn't make my dad less stressed.
And I couldn't make my dad less stressed.
And then breathe. I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
By pouring all my energy.
That by pouring all my energy.
Into making everything okay and figuring out what that is.
That by pouring all my energy and making everything okay.
And figuring out what that is.
And figuring out what that is.
Can make me feel better.
Can make me feel better.
About all of this grief and loss at age 6.
About all this grief and loss at age 6.
And all the things in my life now I can't control.
And all the things in my life now that I cannot control.
Like getting older.
Like getting older.
Like knowing where I'm going to live or how I'm going to be.
Like knowing where I'm going to live or how I'm going to be.
And if I can handle it.
And if I can handle it.
And if I can still be there for people I love.
And if I can still be there for the people that I love.
And then breathe. Or if anybody is going to be there for me.
Or if anybody's going to be there for me.
And then breathe. I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Even though this grief and stress and loss from age 6.
I love and accept myself, even though this grief and love and loss
and stress
at age 6.
Caused me to develop chronic overthinking about things I can't control or things I can control.
Chronic overthinking about things I cannot control.
Yeah, or things I can control or think I can
or
control.
Things I can control.
Or think I can control.
Or think I can control.
Yeah. To make me feel powerful.
To make me feel powerful.
And then breathe. So even though, I need you to say, even though this overthinking, what do I want to say, distraction.
Even though this overthinking distraction
helped me took away the pain of what was happening at age 6.
Took away this pain that I felt at age 6.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
It doesn't serve me anymore.
It does not serve me anymore.
And then breathe. I forgive myself.
I forgive myself
for using the functional disassociation.
For using the functional disassociation.
Where I just go numb to everything.
Where I just go numb to everything.
To get a break. From my obsessive thinking. So that I never really get to just be present.
So that I never get to just be present.
and happy
and happy
and accept everything the way it is
and accept everything the way it is,
and that I'll be okay.
and that I will be okay.
And then breathe. I say yes
I say yes
to this, to my dad's grief and stress,
to my dad's grief and stress,
and the loss and the vulnerability
and the loss and vulnerability
that I felt at age 6,
that I felt at age 6,
and the pattern of obsessive thinking
and the pattern of obsessive thinking
that I used to make
that
myself
I
feel
used
better, to make
to make
myself feel
myself
better, to
that I used
soothe,
to make myself feel better,
to soothe everything. And I
and
call it
pursued
to
and
soothe,
pursued
no,
to
to
soothe
soothe
everything,
everything. And I call it
to
all
soothe
up
everything. And I call it all up
and I release it
and I release it
from my body, mind, and spirit.
from my body, mind, and spirit.
And then breathe. Oh, you got great energy, lady. Woo! I don't know if you're noticing, but wow. So without this pattern,
Without this pattern,
I am free
I am free
to be alone
to be alone
without automatically having to make everything okay
without automatically having to make everything okay
for anybody.
for anybody.
And then breathe. Without this pattern,
Without this pattern,
I can I can more deeply love the people in my life that matter.
I can more deeply love the people in my life that matter
Yeah. Without automatically having to make it okay
without automatically having to make it okay,
or be the one that makes everything okay.
without having to be the one that makes it okay,
And without being afraid they're going to die.
with, without being afraid that they're going to die.
Yeah. And then breathe. You got it. Oh, this is feeling so much better. All right. I need you to say,
Okay.
without this pattern, you're doing fantastic.
Without this pattern,
I am free
I am free
to love my 6-year-old self
to love my 6-year-old self
and to give her permission
and to give her permission
to say I love you to my sister, to my aunt,
to say I love you to my aunt,
and I miss you.
and I miss you.
You were my favorite,
You were my favorite,
and I wish you didn't have to die so soon.
and I wish you didn't have to die so soon.
I give you permission
I give you permission
to go into the light,
to go into the light,
and I will follow much, much, much later.
and I will follow much, much later.
And then breathe. Without this pattern,
Without this pattern,
I am free to reconnect to the deep love I had with my aunt.
I am free to reconnect with the deep love that I had for my aunt,
And to feel gratitude
and to feel gratitude
that she showed me how great a love relationship could be.
that she showed me how great a real love connection could be.
And without this grief and vulnerability,
And without this grief and vulnerability,
I am free
I am free
to show honor to my aunt
to show honor to my aunt
by opening my heart to deeper love connections,
by opening my heart to deeper love connections
so that I could experience more love
so that I can experience more love
and give more love
and give more love
than I ever even knew was possible.
than I ever knew was possible.
And my aunt
And my aunt
is really proud of me.
is really proud of me.
Yeah. I forgive myself
I forgive myself
for all the relationships
for all the relationships
that I wasn't able to fully show up in.
that I was not able to show up fully in.
Yeah. I forgive myself for not being able to do that
I forgive myself for not being able to do that
because of this memory.
because of this memory.
I thought, I thought somebody might die, that I would
Because
lose.
I thought somebody might die and I would lose them.
Yeah, and I would lose the relationship and my way of life.
And I would lose my relationship and my way of life.
Yeah. And I give all those people in my life that I've had distance with,
And I
give all these people
give all these people in my life that I've had relationships with
and that I haven't allowed them to be as close as they could be.
and I haven't allowed them to be as close as they could be.
I ask them to forgive me
I ask them to forgive me
because now I'm opening my heart
because now I am truly opening my heart
to forge greater pathways of love.
to forge greater pathways of love
In honor of
in
my
honor
aunt,
in honor of what?
my aunt,
In honor of my aunt
because she would have liked that.
because she would have liked that.
And then breathe. And in honor of God,
In honor of God
who gives unendingly to me
who gives unendingly to me
and makes this love connection for my life possible.
and makes this love connection for my life possible.
And then breathe. Ah, oh my goodness. So how are you feeling?
Oh, wow. So good.
Oh,
So,
good.
so grateful. So grateful.
Oh, that's amazing. How are you feeling about your aunt?
So reconnected.
That she
Just,
gave you good stuff.
yes,
She made a huge difference. And you know what? If you had to do it again, knowing that she was going to still pass away, it would have been worth it.
yes,
It would
I
be
do
worth it.
believe that.
And that's the lesson, that
Yes,
I can be deeply in love or more deeply connected to people I really, really care about, knowing that there's things I can't control, and if they did die, it would still have been worth it.
yes,
I don't want to miss out on this. Yeah.
right.
Whew. Yeah, and I think that freed up the alone stuff and the no one's here for me. Yeah. Oh, love it. Okay, so I'm going to ask. I started and I said that there were 2 issues, but I believe we tracked through at least 3 issues without having to go back and retest. For people who are new
Right,
at EPT, they always have that option to go back and say, is there another issue? You know, how many, I started, it said there were 2. And really, I think the 2 had to do with dad's stress and also the loss of my aunt. And how the meaning that it has made for your life, and how it's made you feel less connected or able to connect and really enjoy the love. All right, so stage of healing, stage 7. Woo! All right, so I got you to 7, which is creation of new life. It means that what I'm gonna think that you're gonna notice is that you don't that you just feel lighter,
right.
and
I'm sure.
and I'm going to tell you that over the next few days you will know, you'll feel that lightness, and but I will say this, that you'll start to get used to that lightness, and you'll be
Right.
like, you won't feel like you did before, but you won't feel all that, like you won't be like enamored by the lightness. So, but it just means that, you can identify those conflicts and forgiveness and reconnect the love through this releasing of the unresolved conflict. It's you can do it. You can do it. What did I want? Oh, I wanted to tell you, because you haven't had any EPT, on my what to expect little brochure. So a continued release of emotions is really common. Sometimes you might feel tired. Like you may feel
Hmm.
like, man, I took a nap and then I slept all night. Some people feel tired. Some people feel really thirsty. So I tell people it's good to drink water after this work. And sometimes people feel hungry, like they're going, man, I'm like eating more food. Not something that's going to keep you eating days and days. And then the one that I love is that as time goes by, many times patterns that have been uncovered in your life, you will continue to experience additional insights about your past relationships, like over the next few days or even the week. You start to think of other things, they percolate to the surface. And then you take note of these insights and allow yourself to enjoy the new awareness. And if something comes up that you hadn't thought of in a while, one of the things you can do is just call your son and do some EPT with him, because now he does this.
I know. It's really exciting.
So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's very
Oh my
exciting.
goodness, you did amazing, and I know that's going to help you in so many ways. And I know that you and I are probably in the same age range, so I'm beginning to understand those feelings of aging and thinking about death and in a different way, and
Hmm.
like how that's going to be. I'm realizing that. So I am noticing when I work with somebody in this age that we all kind of have that in our head. So that
Hmm.
should free you up, because every day above ground is a really good day, because God loves
Oh,
you.
for sure.
God
Yes.
loves you.
Right.
So yeah, so I'm gonna open and see if anybody has, or if anybody has any questions or wants to say anything. Let me hit the record button, turn it off. Ah, that's gonna be, let's see, wait a minute, record, stop recording. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
And, oh wait, did I not record it? Wait a minute.
You stop recording and then record.